tell us real scary stories that happened to you. It was Tuesday night. As usual, I was watching the computer with which I'm writing this and eating chips. My parents went to a village for one day and left me alone in the apartment. We recently had a wardrobe installed in our room. It was very tall, almost the entire height of the room, but it was quite small in the canopy. After we put it up, our room became very spacious, because there was a sideboard in this cabinet, which, on the contrary, took up little space at height and a lot in the room. This was an introduction so that you would roughly match the equipment, and so, there's a shelf at the bottom of this closet that didn't have anything in it, and this shelf was pretty big. I could fit in it. I'm pretty fat and weigh quite a lot, and so, one night I woke up for no reason, and you know the whole joke of waking up from sleep for no reason. Explanatory brigade: when you wake up at night for no reason, there is a high probability that someone is looking at you. I went to the bathroom and went back to my room. I was just starting to fall asleep when something inside me seemed to turn on. I opened my eyes and noticed that the closet door was ajar. I didn't think much of it at first, because I wanted to sleep, but then it started to open up more and more. I got out of bed and closed it and went to sleep. In the morning, I decided to check the contents of that empty shelf, and I noticed 4 black paw prints with giant nails. I was probably looking at this empty space with footprints for about 5 minutes. My parents returned, but I still couldn't move away. Soon I told them what had happened, but they didn't believe me. It happened quite recently, and I can call myself brave, because I still live in this room, but I lock the closet every night. One day, when I was about 5, I went to my grandparents' room. I think I needed to take something out of the little drawer of the chiffonier. There were glasses, wine glasses and personal belongings of my relatives. It has a built-in mirror, and I often looked into it during the day and made grimaces. So after I took everything I needed from the locker, I decided to look in the mirror as usual. The lights in the room were off. Suddenly I see a bright white glow in the reflection. I thought Grandpa had come back into the room and just turned on the light, but when I turned around, I saw a bright floating silhouette in front of me. It was an angel, with wings and a baby face, wrapped in thick clothes. He just floated in the air and looked around the whole room. I was very scared. I started to step back and ran right into this closet. Speechless and afraid to move, I just stood there and stared at him. The silhouette turned sharply to me and begins to examine me, with his white plaster eyes like a statue. It was very creepy. I abruptly rushed to the door and ran out into my parents' room. He just watched me with a calm face and silently watched me run away. Since then, I don't go in there in the evening without a light. I told my parents about it, but no one believed me. They put it down to a wild childhood fantasy. Grew up in an old village where I could see the police once a week and if they would help you. One day, when I got really bored, I went outside at night and in vain. When I walked about 100 meters from the house, I felt someone's gaze in the complete darkness where there was not a soul. There were some rustles nearby, but I did not pay any attention to it, but I still had to come up. I dropped a valuable coupon, in our village, for 1 coupon at the beginning of 2XX, you could easily buy. When I went to take the coupon, I realized where I had the feeling that I was being watched. There was one guy who looked under 40 and 2 meters tall and 2 little girls about 11 years old. I myself was supposed to turn 15 in a month. Looking at them, I saw that clearly they were at one with each other. The guy didn't leave me alone when he saw me. After a second I felt a kind of relief, as if my body had become light. When I woke up I just couldn't scream in pain. I was very tightly bound that the rope was pressing on my kidneys. Without giving into details, they abused me. At that moment, while I was eating, the cloth covering my eyes slid off me and I saw only this guy leaving in the distance. I clearly remembered him and what he did somnolently. After that moment, of course, my parents began to ask what had happened, and so that they would not ask anything more, I said that I had fought against the crowd and failed, and soon I was taken to the hospital where I was diagnosed with nephroptosis, which is when the kidney is out of place, and I know why. I still have a groove in that place from the rope. It's good that at least the other kidney wasn't damaged. After that moment, I turned 18 and moved to the city to study. While in my 3rd year of engineering, I was surrounded by good friends. Once with one of my friends I went to a not very popular bar, although I myself was not a fan of alcohol. So after moving to the city I began to actively engage in sports, and after a struggle, I decided to keep my friend company, and in the end he got drunk, so I had to take him to my car. When we left the bar I heard a very familiar voice. I put my friend in the back seat and said I would come in a minute. Leaving him I looked around and saw a man with a height like a pillar, and very familiar. The voice that went into the alley seemed to take a leak. Remembering my childhood trauma and a desire for revenge, I followed him. Fortunately he was alone there and there was no ambush. When I saw him I was sure it was him. I couldn't help myself and started hitting him. Hitting and hitting again. What came to hand, even with the pipe that was lying by the trash can. I didn't even give myself a second to talk to him. The bottom line of this story is that when I got into the car and left, one guy from the bar called an ambulance and the guy was taken to the hospital. A bunch of wounds were visible on his body, and he fell into a long coma due to a skull injury. His chance of survival was less than that of a person with cancer who had it transmitted. He inherited it and was not weakened in any way.